What's going on today, YouTubers? Welcome to another edition of Walking Reviews. Today's review is going to be focused really around two knives. One knife primarily, which is new to me, and the other knife is kind of new to me, but I've had others like it before. So really the primary focus of this review is this Spyderco Mantra, which has been out for a little while, but I just never really felt like I needed to have one, and I just happened to get one from somebody selling it secondhand. They didn't like the idea of M4 steel, which I'll talk about in a bit, but so I picked it up for a little bit cheaper than new, so I was like, you know, why not give it a shot. So I'll go ahead and get the specs out of the way for you guys. Blade length is just a hair over 3 inches, like 3.12, I think they have it listed as. Cutting edge is right at 3 inches. So right in that perfect smaller EDC size. Handle length is about 4.25 inches. So just under 7.5 overall. Maybe about 7.3 inches, something like that. The weight is extremely light. I think it's like 2.8 ounces. A very, very lightweight knife, and I think you can see why. There's not a whole lot to it. Open construction with a couple of standoffs and a lanyard tube. Fairly, not thin, but not overly thick titanium handle scales. You can see that steel lock bar insert there. This does run on a caged bearing system. The wire pocket clip, which is again another kind of weight saver there. And the very thin behind the edge, full flat ground leaf shaped blade here, which is one of the better EDC blade designs ever created, especially for slicing. This thing is like just a monster when it comes to slicing, and the steel, this tool steel M4, definitely helps that. Keeps a very toothy edge for a very long time. So the knife I wanted to compare it to is another production knife and offering by Spyderco. And the reason I wanted to show you this one, I actually got this knife for free. Otherwise, I would not own this knife. I was excited for this when it first dropped. Like I think it was about 1.5 years, 2 years ago. They announced, Spyderco announced that they were going to have a follow-up collaboration with Brad Southard, which I was a big fan of the Spyderco Southard. So when I saw an even more EDC friendly size with a 3-inch blade, I was over the moon. I was like, holy shit, this is going to be amazing. It turned out, I don't know if any of you have ever owned a Positron, just a complete and utter failure. It's got everything you'd want on paper to be an amazing knife, but it just does not work. The execution was pretty poor. So the stats on this one, 3-inch blade, 4-inch handle, 7-inch overall, G10 on the handle scales here. It is a liner lock, stainless steel liner, caged bearings, flipper, wire pocket clip, looking very out of place. Not that it's a wire pocket clip, just the where of they placed it, it just looks so odd. The sharp angles down here. Yeah, this just, it ended up not being nearly as good a knife as it could have been. So the first problem with this is like the liner lock. It's almost impossible to get to with your thumb without pinching your thumb, because there's no recess whatsoever. The liner doesn't protrude past the handle scale, and there is no space put in there for your thumb to get to. They did give you a little bit of jimping here, which just makes the pinching action a little bit more painful when you do go to unlock the knife. The spider hole for just for aesthetic purposes. I don't really give a shit about it. I couldn't care less about the I think they have to do it like for a patent reason. It doesn't bother me. Some people didn't like that, you know, it wasn't usable. I couldn't give two shits if the spider hole is usable. That's the least of this knife's problems. It's very uncomfortable to flip because, again, that pointy part of the handle digs into your palm when you're flipping it. This one actually has, for a Positron, fairly good flipping action. It's a must push button. You can't light switch unless you really get a good preload on it. It's really mainly a push button, and even then, most of the time the detent was too soft on these to actually flip the knife out. This one, they actually have a pretty good detent on it, so you can get it to flip. But compare that to the Mantra, which again, this doesn't have the strongest detent, but it flips worlds better, and you have a very usable Spidey hole there. Yeah, so this can be flipped either light switch or push button. It flips a whole lot better. As far as EDC purposes go, I think it is just head and shoulders above. Yeah, there's almost no comparing the two. I wanted to compare the two because it's just a huge margin of difference between what they did with this Mantra, which is a completely practical, usable, I would say even abusable knife, versus a knife that they had the collaboration of a world-class knife maker, and just the execution was just garbage. Yeah. So as far as the reason I wanted to kind of compare them, I wasn't expecting a whole lot with the Mantra. I think maybe because the last Spyderco I bought, honestly, was a Positron, and I think that completely soured me on Spyderco from then on, just how poorly it was done, which is a shame because they do have a lot of great EDC designs, and this is proof of it, that they not only, you know, executed a great knife, but they did another flipper, which that Positron was supposed to be this, you know, great successor to the Southern, and it ended up being just an absolute garbage fire. But the Mantra and the Mantra 2, I think, is just as good of a design as this one. I haven't had my hands on it, so I can't speak to the quality. My guess is it's probably just as good. These are both made in the Taichung, Taiwan factory, so no excuses as far as like fit and finish and workmanship, because Taichung tends to produce the best Spydercos. I think the failing in the Positron was just in how they executed that design. Yeah, this is just a completely different. So ergonomically, you have this amazing thumb ramp here. Your hand is not going anywhere as soon as you grip the knife. Very easy to pinch as well with that. I mean, you get a really great grip with that giant spider hole. It's fun to play with because, you know, you can either flip the thing or you can, you know, flick it out in any one of like 100,000 different ways. Really ambidextrous friendly, thanks to the swappable wire clip. The wire clip doesn't look ridiculously out of place on this, and it carries very well. Yeah, just a really nice job from Spyderco on the Mantra 2 and the Mantra. I should say the Mantra. I have not had the Mantra 2 yet, but I'm kind of looking at getting one now, just because of how well they did with this. I've kind of warmed to the Spyderco brand again. So yeah, I just wanted to share these two knives with you guys and kind of you know, give you a little best and worst of Spyderco in the EDC size category here. So thanks for watching. Stay tuned. I've got some really cool knives to show you guys, and I think you're going to dig them. So take it easy.